Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. There comes a point in life when everything seems to fall apart, when our dreams shatter, our hopes fade, and the future feels like a blur. But it is in these very moments of despair that we are given a choice to give in to the ashes of defeat or to rise from them stronger than ever. Today, I want to talk about the power of resilience, of finding light in the darkest corners of our journey. And who better to inspire us than the incredible Muniba Mazari, a woman who turned her pain into purpose, her wounds into wisdom, and her scars into strength. She didn't just survive, she rose like a phoenix. So let us begin this journey of rediscovering the strength that lies within each one of us as we explore what it truly means to rise from the ashes. Pain. A word so small, yet it carries the weight of the world for many of us. It is something we all encounter at some point in our lives. But while most people see pain as a sign of weakness or punishment, there are a few rare souls who recognize it as the first step towards transformation. Muniba Mazari is one of them. Before her life-changing accident, Muniba was just like any other young woman, full of dreams, ambitions, and plans for the future. But in an instant, her world turned upside down. A car accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. The doctors said she would never walk again, never paint again, and never become a mother. Imagine being told that everything you once believed about your life, your identity, your worth was gone. In that moment, the pain wasn't just physical, it was emotional, it was spiritual. It was the kind of pain that breaks you into pieces. But here's the truth about pain: it introduces you to yourself. It strips away the noise and distractions, forcing you to face who you really are. And when Muniba was lying on that hospital bed, unable to move, she had every reason to give up. But instead of surrendering to her suffering, she embraced it. She chose to sit with her pain, understand it, and learn from it. Pain became her teacher. It taught her patience because healing doesn't come overnight. It taught her strength because real strength is not about muscles or movement, but about the courage to keep going when everything hurts. And most importantly, it taught her empathy because once you've suffered deeply, your heart opens to the suffering of others. What's remarkable about Muniba is not that she survived, it's that she transformed. She didn't let the pain make her bitter. She allowed it to make her better. She began to paint again, this time using her mouth. She began to speak first to herself, then to others, sharing her story, her pain, and her hope. The same woman who was told she would never live a normal life became the national ambassador for UN Women Pakistan. She became a voice for those who had none, a light for those trapped in darkness. Pain, if we allow it, breaks the shell of ego, pride, and illusion. It humbles us, grounds us, and forces us to grow. Muniba often says that she is grateful for the accident because it gave her a new vision, a new life. That might sound strange to someone who has never suffered deeply, but those who have walked through fire know that sometimes pain is the only thing that wakes us up. There is something incredibly powerful about embracing pain instead of running from it. Society often teaches us to hide our pain, to numb it, to pretend everything is fine. But healing doesn't come from hiding. Healing begins the moment we accept our pain and stop seeing it as our enemy. Muniba's story is a reminder that pain is not the end. It's the beginning. It is the soil in which growth takes root. Just as seeds must be buried in darkness to bloom, our souls must sometimes go through the darkest nights to discover the light within. When we embrace our pain, we also embrace our power. The power to rebuild, to redefine, and to rise. Transformation never begins in comfort, it begins in chaos, in heartbreak, in helplessness. But if we hold on, if we sit with the pain long enough, we begin to see the possibilities hidden within it. We realize that we are not broken, we are breaking open. And in that opening, something new is born. Resilience, purpose, and a deeper sense of self. Pain will visit all of us. None of us are exempt. But the question is, what will we do with it? Will we bury it, deny it, escape it, or will we do what Muniba did? Will we look pain in the eye, listen to its message, and let it shape us into someone wiser, stronger, and more compassionate? Embracing pain doesn't mean enjoying it. It means respecting it as part of the human journey. It means recognizing that some of our greatest growth comes not from joy, but from struggle. Pain cracks us open so that truth can enter. From a young age, we are taught to see limitations as walls, rigid, unmovable barriers that define what we can and cannot do. Society often builds those walls for us, and sometimes we build them ourselves. But the truth is, limitations are not facts. They are perceptions. And until we learn to challenge them, they will continue to define the boundaries of our lives. Muniba Mazari is living proof that those boundaries are meant to be redrawn. After her accident, Muniba was told she could no longer live a normal life. The doctors gave her a long list of things she could no longer do, have children, be independent. These words could have been the end of her dreams. But Muniba chose a different path. Instead of accepting those limitations as her identity, she questioned them. She asked, "Who says I can't?" And with that question, she began to rewrite her story. Our scars, whether they are visible or invisible, often become the labels by which the world tries to identify us. But what if our scars are not signs of brokenness, but of survival? What if they are symbols of strength rather than weakness? Muniba's story teaches us that we do not have to be defined by what we have lost, but by what we choose to become. She redefined her own limitations by turning a life-altering tragedy into a platform for hope and empowerment. Limitations often begin in the mind. When we believe we are not capable, we act accordingly. But the moment we challenge those beliefs, we begin to see a different version of ourselves. After her injury, Muniba could have allowed her wheelchair to define her identity, but she chose to see it as a part of her story, not the whole of it. She became an artist who paints with her mouth, a speaker who moves hearts without taking a single step, a mother through adoption, and a change maker who inspires millions. Her life became a living declaration that limitations are only real if we allow them to be. Redefining limitations is not about denying reality, it's about refusing to let that reality imprison your spirit. Pain and loss are real. Physical limitations are real. But so is courage, so is imagination. So is the human ability to rise beyond expectations. Muniba embraced what she could no longer do, but she refused to ignore all that she still could. That shift perspective changed everything. When people look at someone in a wheelchair, they often assume weakness or dependency. But what if we flipped that lens? What if we saw resilience instead? What if we saw determination? Muniba says she is differently abled, not disabled. That single shift in language holds the power to shift an entire worldview. By choosing empowering words, she reclaims her narrative and encourages others to do the same. Limitations lose their power when we begin to own our stories. For Muniba, speaking publicly about her journey wasn't just about inspiration, it was an act of defiance against the limitations imposed on her. It was her way of saying, "I am more than my circumstances." Every time she stands figuratively, not physically on a stage, and shares her truth, she breaks another chain. She redefines not just her own life, but the lives of those who hear her. We live in a world that too often tells people what they can't do. But Muniba's life invites us to imagine what we can do even when the odds are against us. Her wheelchair became a symbol, not of confinement, but of freedom. It gave her the ability to travel, to speak, to reach people she may have never reached otherwise. The very thing that was meant to limit her became the tool through which she expanded her world. Redefining limitations is a daily choice. It's choosing to focus on possibilities instead of problems. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing not what's missing, but what's still burning inside. That fire, your passion, your voice, your dreams does not disappear because life gets hard. It waits for you to believe in it again. Muniba teaches us that the human spirit cannot be confined by circumstances unless we let it. When she paints, it is not just colors on a canvas, it is defiance against every limitation that tried to silence her creativity. When she speaks, it is not just words, it is a declaration that limitations can be reshaped, reimagined, and even removed. Each of us carries scars, some seen, some hidden. But none of them are the final word. What defines us is not what happened to us, but how we respond. It's in the response that we find our power. Muniba chose to respond not with anger, not with surrender, but with purpose. And through that purpose, she gave new meaning to every limitation she once believed she had.